Ahoy there, Captain Benzie here, coming at you with another video for EVE Echoes. Now, today is the update day. It's the November update. I was going to be doing a video of talking about all of some of the new changes to some of the ships, maybe doing a deep dive on something like the Crucifier, or just having a look at some of the stuff that has changed in the patch. Ultimately, however, the universe has had other ideas, and you can probably hear right now, my voice is absolutely terrible. I've got a stinking headache, a sore throat, so instead I wanted to do something a little bit lighthearted, a little bit fun, and just talk about something that wasn't even mentioned in the patch notes, that just sort of arrived in game, and I'm all for. Yes, we're going to be having a look at the shuttle ships, talking about what these are, how to get them, and how you might decide to use them. Plus, at the end of this video, I will be talking about a giveaway that I'm going to have running, so do stick around to the end for that. Now, if you do enjoy this video, let me know by hitting like on it, sub to the channel for all things EVE Echoes, ding that notification bell to never miss an upload, and of course, let me know in the comment section down below what topics you want covered in future videos. Finally, if you do want to go the extra mile to help support this channel, you can do so by joining us on Patreon. Details are on screen now at the bottom. Every pledge, every dollar really does help. Now, ultimately, what wasn't mentioned in the patch notes, as I said, is the addition of these new shuttle ships. Now, let's be completely honest. When EVE Echoes launched, the Museum Arcana and the Scholar Point Exchange were simultaneously one of the most exciting and disappointing new additions to the game. On one hand, I loved the fact that I could collect these ancient remains, investigate them into all these cool little items that revealed a little bit of the lore and backstory of New Eden. I loved learning that the Crucible etched sticks were a way that Minmatar used to sort of communicate with each other by just etching messages into these sticks and leaving them on trails for each other to find so they could pass messages on. That was a really cool bit of backstory that otherwise wouldn't have been explained. Now, the downside of the Scholar Point Exchange was that the actual points that you earned were pretty much useless. You kind of had a couple of 15-day temporary skins that were uninspiring, to say the least, I'll be completely frank. Now, however, there has actually been a reason for saving these up. And I've had a whole bunch of folks in the Catskull Cartel sending me their ancient remains for me to investigate, because I wanted to try and see if anything happened when you completed the collection, and I also wanted to just kind of get an idea of, I want to have a load of points backed up in case they decided to add some new skins or other cool features. And well, they have. As you can see here, we now have the Amar Shuttle, the Caldari Shuttle, the Galente Shuttle, and the Minmatar Shuttle, all available for 4,000 Scholar Points each, so they're not even that expensive in the long run. Take a little bit of time to save up, but you can get these fairly easily. Now, ultimately, when you pick one of these, you kind of go onto it, you go for the Scholar Points, 4,000 there, and you buy it. You can then pick it up from any station in the game. So if you're based all the way out in Nullsec and you want to try one of these, you can buy it off the NES store here, and then you just go to Get Purchased Items and claim all, or claim whichever one you want at whichever station you're at. But what are shuttles? Well, don't get too excited. These aren't some amazing new combat or delivery ship. They are ultimately, in the long run, pretty worthless. You're not going to miss out if you never buy one of these, but they can be a lot of fun, and fun is kind of the key point that I want to get at with these. So what we're going to do in today's video is just have a little look at each of these four. I bought all four, so I'm going to undock them, talk about how they look, and we're just going to have a look at each of them one by one. Now, interestingly enough, before we have a look at each individual one, you'll notice that if we go into the role bonuses, they are all exactly the same. They can be insured for repairs, which is a really nice little addition. It means that if you spend that 4,000 Scholar Points, undock and get blown up, you can just repair it. You don't need to save up another 4,000 Scholar Points, you can just repair it using those vouchers. They all have that role bonus of minus 100% pirate hostility, like the capsule. This means you can jump into a combat encounter, fly right up next to a pirate ship, sit there looking at it, and it will not even lock onto you, let alone fire back. They don't react to you, the pirates, so you can kind of have a look around a combat anomaly and just sort of get a feel for it, or just go exploring and see what's all around. Looking at the rest of the stats though, all of the shuttles have the exact same stats other than defense. For some reason, the Caldari and Galente shuttles have 462 defense, whereas the Amar and Minmatar have slightly higher at about 480. It's not a big difference, and it shouldn't really influence which one you go for. Go for whichever one you think looks best. Other than that though, they all have a basic flight velocity of 500 meters per second, a warp speed of 4 AU, power grid of 15 megawatts, capacitors of 147 gigajoules, and a cargo hold of 10 cubic meters. Interestingly enough as well, if we go into the fitting page here for the Minmatar shuttle, you'll see that none of these have any fitting slots whatsoever. You cannot fit weapons, you cannot fit mid slots, you can't even put an afterburner or a shield booster on these things. It just, there is no capability there. They are purely, like the capsule, purely transport ships, designed to get you from A to B. Theoretically, you could put something small in that cargo hold. 10 cubic meters is tiny. But if you've got a blueprint or something that you're looking to sell, or a rig or something, yeah, maybe you can take that to market in one of these things. But again, that's not really what they're here for, but we'll come to that later on. Now, interestingly enough, despite the fact that if we have a look here, under Caldari Shuttle, you see the ship type is Shuttle. Curiously enough, though, I can actually show to you guys that they're not shuttles, they're frigates. If we then look onto the Minmatar shuttle, you'll see that the overall defense has shot up, the flight velocity has shot up, the power grid and capacitors have shot up. Now, the only things that I have trained in engineering, in defense and in command, which would give the flight velocity, defense upgrade and flight velocity, are the frigate skills. So frigate command seems to increase the flight velocity and the inertia of these ships. The frigate engineering increases the power grid and the capacitor, and the overall defense there has been influenced from frigate defense upgrade. So again, another reason to be a frigate pilot. Your shuttles get better. yeah, seriously, I'm going with that. I'm going with that. But anyway, let's actually then have a look at how these look. This is the Minmatar shuttle here, and I adore this ship. It looks like the Minmatar Republic's take on a TIE fighter. You've got those sensor foils, or solar panels, or whatever you want to call them, on the sides there. You've got 6 sensor arrays pointing forwards. You've then got this central sort of hub there, with, I think, 5 boosters, or thrusters, whatever you want to call them, on the back. Cool looking ship. Obviously, your capsule is loaded into the center there. Very cool Minmatar TIE fighter, just without any of the cool pew-pew laser guns, but interesting little ship to fly around and just have a bit of fun with. Now, when I've said, like, what are shuttles for, that's basically it. They're designed for you to go scouting. Go have fun, just fly around New Eden, jump out to some planets, take some cool screenshots, jump into a combat anomaly. If there's someone doing that combat anomaly, you can sit there and watch it, safe in the knowledge that the pirates won't engage you, or you can just fly up to the pirate ships and get a look at them as well. Get a cool little feel for how all these different graphical assets that otherwise we normally don't really pay much attention to whilst we're playing the game. And you can do that knowing that the pirates will not engage you at all. Cool looking ship here, and I can't wait to get some screenshots out in the field with this one. Let's move along now then to the Gallente shuttle. Start at the right and go left. Now, the Gallente shuttle, normally Gallente ships are something that I don't really like the look of, especially the really horrifically asymmetrical ones. I am happy to say then that the Gallente shuttle is a beautiful symmetrical ship. It's kind of like a flying fish with these sort of wings going forward, this unusual sort of fin at the back there. 2 horizontal thrusters, and you can kind of see the cockpit there with a T-shaped viewing port at the front. This reminds me a lot, actually, of one of the Romulan ships from Star Trek. I know it's not an exact sort of replica, but that kind of hollow ring look to it, with the main ship pointing forward and backward and the wings coming out the sides, reminds me a lot of the Romulan ships. And again, obviously, I think the colour scheme doesn't harm that either. Interesting looking ship. As far as Gallente ships go, the shuttle is actually one of my favourites, and secondly, it is my second favourite of the 2 shuttles, the Minmatar, of course, being top of that list. Now, interestingly enough then, let's move on to the Amar shuttle. A lot of you guys in the comment section seem to be God-fearing laser monkeys, so yeah, perhaps the Amar one will be quite popular amongst you guys. For me, though, this is an unusual looking ship. It looks a little bit like one of the, is it the Interceptor? The Interceptor drones, the basic sort of small drones for the Amar. You kind of got that weird X to the back. It's not quite an X-wing design. It's a little bit closer to like the Crucifier in its appearance from behind. It reminds me a little bit of a pod racer as well somehow from Star Wars, but it's still got that Amar finesse to it that I'm not a big fan of. That ostentation of the ivory colour with the shiny gold detailing. It's like, come on folks, it's a shuttle. Let's not go completely overboard making this thing look ridiculous. But yeah, kind of pod racer crossed Amar drone. I'm not entirely sure. Those do look like they should be some kind of cannon on the front, like a laser cannon. They're not. Obviously, that's a sensor array. We've got a little bit of a split down the middle there as well. You can see some of the electronics there is exposed. And you've got that kind of almost like big thruster casing at the central back there as well. Interesting looking ship. That said though, the Caldari one is... I'm never quite sure what to make of this one. From certain angles, it looks really cool. Like if I angle it, there we are, like that. It looks a little bit like some kind of fish, like a predatory fish, like a pike or a remora, perhaps a shark of some kind. Those kind of viewport lights at the front on the nozzle there are pretty cool. You've got the fins and the wings. This looks like it could be some kind of predatory fish gliding through the deep. Then you look at it from above, and if I swing it round this way, that straight-sided angular makes it look kind of like a child's rendition of a moon-launching rocket. It's very straight and angular, and I'm not so much a fan of that. Cool little booster layout at the back there. I do like the way that the sort of the front hooks under the cockpit area there as well. And you've got this big black area that I can only assume is like a sensor array or a viewport screen or something there at the front. Interesting looking ship. Definitely my least favourite of the four, and that's saying something when the Amar Pillbug is one of the options on the table. Now, ultimately, those are the four different shuttles. The Minmatar one, obviously, being my favourite, and not just because it's Minmatar, but genuinely, I really like the look of this ship. And talking about looks and shuttles, well, let's talk about that giveaway. Now, NetEase have been very kind as a thank you for me putting out, like, the amount of content that I do and helping me support my channel in a little way. They have given me 3 Omega combos, which I can issue direct to players. What I want you guys to do is get yourself a shuttle. It can be any of the 4 shuttles, whichever one you like the look of most. Fly it out to anywhere or anything and take some screenshots. You will need to find me on Twitter for this, so come find me at Captain Benzie, at CPT Benzie, details on screen now, and tag me in your screenshots taken using a shuttle. The best of these, I will pick 3 winners to have one of those 3 Omega clones added to your account, because I want to help some of you guys out getting a Mega onto the thing, and I just want to celebrate these cool little shuttles being added to the game. They don't have much use or much purpose, just a little bit of fun, so let's have some fun with them. Anyway, folks, that about wraps up everything that I wanted to say regarding shuttles. Let me know which one is your favourite. I can't wait to see your screenshots and see what you come up with and what kind of cool little pictures you take. Hopefully that will help cheer me up and help swift me down the road to recovery. Fingers crossed. Otherwise, keep watching. I will be back tomorrow with some more content. I'm going to spend the rest of this afternoon working on some stuff. Now that the balance patch is out, I can actually get on with some ships. I recorded an entire video on the Crucifier, only to realise that it was then getting changed in the update and the weapon disruptors were going to be tracking disruptors, so yay, I've got to go back and redo all of that. Anyway, folks, let me know your thoughts and opinions on the shuttles in the comment section down below. Good luck in the contest, can't wait to see your screenshots. Otherwise, folks, happy sailing, and see you in New Eden.